Zaffa presents The English Führer, written by Rory Clements, and read by Adam Sims. To learn more about Rory's writing and receive exclusive content, join his Readers Club at www.roryclements.co.uk. Chapter 1. Autumn 1945. Liz Lightfoot was beginning to believe that her husband would kill her. A soft breeze drifted off the North Sea. It was early October, and there was still a hint of late summer warmth in the air, just about enough to make love outdoors. Anyway, they had nowhere else to go, and they needed each other. Normally, they liked it here in the dunes. It was an easy ride on Tony's motorbike, and as a farmer, he had privileged access to petrol. No one would ever chance upon them, and a hollow in the sand offered some shelter from the wind. The marram grass and an old blanket softened their nest. They were warm enough because they weren't going to remove all their clothes, simply unbutton and unhook the necessary items, and then get on with it, like rutting animals. He was 23 and she was 22. They were married, but not to each other. They hadn't been able to see each other for almost a week, so their lovemaking was frantic and hurried. Then, at last, they lay in each other's arms in silence. And yet she felt ill at ease because something wasn't right. Some sort of tension in the air. Something that she couldn't articulate to Tony. Below them, on the wide beach, just beyond the barbed wire fencing that kept walkers away from the landmines and barricades and pillboxes, a colony of grey seals slept, blissfully unaware of the activity in the dunes. The gratification of the sex was followed, as always, by the misery of their situation. There were many questions and no answers, so they simply avoided addressing them. How could he, Tony Hood, abandon his wife Sandra and their baby son? And how could she, Liz Lightfoot, leave her husband Lucas, when he would undoubtedly take a clawhammer to them both if he ever found out about their affair? Liz pulled away from Tony and stood up, shivering as she adjusted her dress, brushing the sand from between her legs. She froze.
"Did you hear that, Tone?"
"What?"
"I thought I heard a voice down on the beach."
"There's no one there, just the seals snoring." She nodded. He was probably right. It was just her nerves playing up, the fear that this was all going to end badly.
"I have to get home. Mrs. Führer across the street will be twitching her curtains. She already gives me looks."
Tony lit a cigarette and took a long drag.
"Old bag. Tell her you were visiting your mum." "To do that, I'd have to go and talk to the cow. Anyway, she'd just call me a liar and a whore, or sneer at me with her arms folded across her scrawny tits. Church-going bitch."
They had all been friends, Tony and Sandra, Lucas and Liz, since school and throughout their courting days. They always went out as a foursome to the pub in the village and the Saturday dance in Yarmouth, and they got married within a month of each other. Tony was Lucas's best man, and Lucas was Tony's. And that might have been that. A lifetime of dreary, respectable marriage, kids and suppressed desires. Then along came bloody Hitler with his goose-stepping hordes. Lucas quit the railways and joined the Royal Norfolks at the beginning of 1941. Tony was running the farm after the old man's stroke, and so he couldn't enlist. It wasn't a big farm, just 80 acres, but agriculture was essential war work, a reserved occupation. Putting food in the nation's bellies was just as important as shooting Germans. Still, it wasn't easy staying out of uniform. People looked at you in the street, and their hard faces asked the same question. "My son's fighting. Why aren't you?" Before he enlisted, Lucas had asked Tony and Sandra to keep an eye on his lass. It was an unnecessary request, because they all lived close to each other in the village, and they knew their responsibilities as friends. In the event, it was Tony more than Sandra who looked out for Liz, because she needed help doing the sort of things Lucas would normally have done, fixing fuses, unblocking pipes, heaving coal. Man's work. Tony loved those hours he spent around Liz.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?